Hello everyone, my name is Rob, welcome to Kinetic Rugby League. In this video we're going to be discussing the New Zealand Rugby League World Cup squad that has recently been announced. Let's take a look. The New Zealand squad is as follows: Nelson Asafa-Solomona, Jesse Bromwich, Kenneth Bromwich, Dylan Brown, James Fisher-Harris, Kieran Foran, Peter Hiku, Jerome Hughes, Sebastian Chris, Moses Leota, Isaac Liu, Joseph Manu, Jeremy Marshall-King, Ronaldo Mulitalo, Chauncey Nicol-Clockstad, Britta Nikora, Murata Niokore, Isaiah Papali'i, Jordan Rapana, Brandon Smith, Scott Sorensen, Joseph Tarpany, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. Now here we have our rivals, closest rivals to Australia, from my opinion anyway, and from the opinion of a lot of other rugby fans. There are three sections I've put this team into. There's a weakness, which I've somehow managed to pick from this. There's the spine, which we'll talk about, and there's also the backs that we'll talk about. But starting with the weakness. Now, the weakness is Asafa-Solomona, Jesse Bromwich, Kenneth Bromwich, and Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. Can anybody guess what that weakness might be? And it's not a lack of meters made or a lack of runs at the line. It's penalties. Now, they're three big guys. Missing out some other forwards there, but just wanted to get onto the weaknesses first, and I think those kind of guys, from what I've seen from the NRL, this is the only weakness for me, for them, is that these guys, on any given play, look like they're 2 seconds away from giving away a penalty. Whenever I see these guys in a tackle, I am fairly confident a penalty is about to follow. That is going to be their only weakness, I feel. Warrior-Hargreaves loves a scrap, from what I've seen. So does Asafa-Solomona. And Jesse Bromwich loves to pull the legs up during the tackle and will potentially flip some players over. So they're going to make some penalties. If there's going to be any weakness in that squad, it's those four are going to generate penalties like nothing you've ever seen before. Aside from the penalties, they're still really experienced, really quality forwards. So on the other side of the coin, there's some strong players there. But if there is a weakness with this team, it's those four giving away too many penalties. Now moving on to the next point, which will be the spine. Now for me, from what I've seen so far from the squads, this is probably the second best spine at the tournament, assuming that you're going to have Joseph Manu at fullback, Dylan Brown at standoff, Jerome Hughes at scrum half, and Brandon Smith at hooker. That was the same spine that played against Tonga a few months ago, and they kind of looked how you'd expect. Just really clean, professional, creative, dangerous. Had that spark to them, especially with Joseph Manu, the runs that he made. He was very explosive. And they can kind of just make things from anywhere. You know, you kind of pin back in your own 20. It's third or fourth tackle. You need to make some huge meters. It's all right. They've got it covered. They'll make something happen. They'll get it out to the wide players. They'll make the runs that they need to make. They'll direct players how they need to be directed. They'll make so much happen at this tournament. And these guys individually will demolish teams on their own. They won't need the centres and wingers. They don't need the forwards. They'll make things happen by themselves. So that's what makes them particularly dangerous, is their individual ability. Especially Joseph Manu. Really excited to see what he's capable of at this tournament. He's looked incredibly strong in the centres for the Sydney Roosters and has played at fullback for some games. But getting regular fullback game time for New Zealand is going to show us exactly what he's made of, especially at this level. He's one of those young players that's, I'm definitely excited to see, and I think a lot of people are. Dylan Brown is a very underrated player in the NRL. I mentioned during the Tonga video, as I compared Junior Amone to him, or his style anyway, that they were quite similar, but for me, I compared Junior Amone to a downgraded Dylan Brown, but now New Zealand actually have Dylan Brown, so they don't need to worry there. But the thing is, Jerome Hughes can take on the kicking game, no problem, and Dylan Brown can go do his thing. But he can also take on the kicking game as well if he needed to. He's got that that ability to. He doesn't shy away from it. But they've got two really smart and explosive players in the halves. And you've got Brandon Smith, who is a really experienced player. Yes, he does start behind Harry Grant, but come on, it's Harry Grant. But he's no slouch at hooker. Extremely dangerous running at the line. Plenty of experience. Knows how to get in people's heads. No problems in this spine whatsoever. No complaints at all. So they should be fine. And the last thing I want to get onto are the backs, or the remaining positions in the backs. That would be centre and winger. I'm assuming that the centres are going to be Petr Hiku and Sebastian Chris, and that the wingers will be Ronaldo Mulatalo and Jordan Rapiner. That's my assumption. Really like what I've seen from Petr Hiku this year. Look reliable as ever. I'm not sure how old he is now. I think he might be in his early 30s, so he's getting on a bit. Sebastian Chris has had a really solid season with the Canberra Raiders. I've liked what I've seen from him. It looks a little bit like Katoni Staggs from time to time, the way he kind of just penetrates through the line. When they make early shifts out wide and he's running through the line, he's really trying to knock people over. Makes good meters from the back, so I like what they've got at centre. Very strong, fast, reliable players. And then looking at the wingers, Jordan Rapiner is one of the most reliable wingers that the NRL's ever had. Good pace and a really strong finisher. And then Ronaldo Mulatalo has had one hell of a season with the Sharks. Really impressed with what he's done. Some of the tries that he's put on tape this season have been incredible. So really excited to see what they can do as an entire unit, because they are completely stacked. So that's going to be it for this video. If you have any thoughts and comments on the New Zealand squad, leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with new content. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.